I got up this morning and saw some awful, heartbreaking news that I want to talk about a little bit here and kind of honor the memory of a great man that we've just now lost. Daniel Naroditsky has unfortunately passed away. Daniel was my chess teacher for over a year and my friend. And even though I may have retired my jersey in professional chess playing, I never lost the passion for it, but I never stopped following the chess community, and in particular, Daniel and his achievements. Daniel was such a bright light in the chess community and just such a fucking amazing guy. For so many people, Daniel Naroditsky was their entry into chess. He had the most educational streams. He was the best instructor at it. He was able to make it exciting. His love of the game was infectious, and he was able to teach people that had no prior knowledge of chess at all how to really get into it and what it all means and make it just so fucking fun. He was an amazing teacher, an amazing player, and an incredible friend. And, I mean this genuinely. He had such a profound effect on my life in just that year and a half of him being my fucking sensei here, taking me into his dojo of discipline and teaching me the ins and outs of this game. Throughout my 18, 19 years of making shit online, there's a few moments that stand out to me as unforgettable experiences that I will remember for the rest of my fucking life. Like, even if the Men in Black hit me with a neuralizer, those memories will somehow remain. They will persist through that. And at the top of that list is the PogChamps tournament where Daniel Naroditsky was mentoring me, teaching me chess, and preparing me for my biggest match against XQC.
Because when you bring out the bishop like this, it can become very vulnerable right away. So I'm not sure that I like the variational approach here.
No, please don't. And it's too soon. It's too soon, Hikaru. We didn't even reach a climax. You know, when I said it'd be fun to see a checkmate in 4 earlier, I was joking. It was we're listening to Moist Critical right now.
Daniel Naroditsky is a prophet. He said immediately that XQC will likely go with the Scotch Open, and he did. So I had the counterplay, and he immediately blundered. Well, that's got to be a world record. Thanks for the fat 10 gift subs, Pikachu. My is throbbing. I called Daniel Naroditsky the prophet because in our sessions, he actually predicted that exact thing could happen. He was like Doctor Strange peering into all of these different universes, all of these infinite possibilities, and he saw the true line of what would unfold here in our dimension. Is that a better position, or is that still just not even worth?
So you can play this. Yeah, this is a good move. Now, knight f6 is probably the best move. Queen f6 is a very decent move because he might take your knight. That's actually possible in this maiden one. Imagine what that would create. The problem is, again, if he knows what to do, he plays bishop to e3 here, then queen f6 is a slightly inaccurate move. We basically transpose into theory. But I would, you know what, why don't you risk it? I would just risk it.
I like that, yeah. And like clockwork, that game unfolded exactly as Daniel Naroditsky predicted it would. He was such a wholesome presence in the chess community, and the world is a worse place without him now. He was very young with still so much that I know he would have accomplished, and it's just a tragedy, really. I don't know if we'll ever see another person like Daniel Naroditsky. So instructive and entertaining and patient. Holy shit, his patience is that of a saint. To put up with the mumbo jumbo that I would be blabbering about with my, fucking Cro-Magnon brain in the chessboard, and he would, be able to sit there through all of my incoherent ramblings of nonsensical chess theory that obviously was never even feasible, and still able to, open my third eye to how chess is actually supposed to be played effectively, and doing it just so respectfully and so friendly and make it so fun. Like, there is nobody that could ever fill the void that is now left by Daniel Naroditsky's passing. I really wanted to do my best here to just pay tribute to a guy that meant a lot to a ton of people. And I had full intentions of not mentioning Vladimir Kramnik. I was going to do my best to restrain myself and not bring his name up, but as I was making this video, this vile worm posted a cruel and heartless tweet about this news. And I cannot help but just give a big fuck you to Kramnik. It's as far as I'll go here. I'm not going to get into the weeds of everything with Kramnik and what had been going on, but after seeing that, I literally cannot stop myself from just saying what a big piece of shit Kramnik is. But anyway, like I said, this video I just mainly wanted to be honoring Daniel Naroditsky and talking to the exemplary character he had demonstrated throughout our friendship and the effect he had on my life personally, as well as on the broader chess community. He introduced countless people to chess, and not only was he such a positive force in the chess community, but in streaming in general. I mentioned his streams were endlessly entertaining. And that's to anybody, even if you have no idea what chess even is. Even if your only exposure to chess is through fucking Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone when they play wizard's chess. If you have no idea what the game even is, if you stumbled across his stream, you probably stuck around and got hooked because he himself was just so fun to watch. He was a great, great guy who accomplished so much in his life. GM Daniel Naroditsky is a name that will always live on as a invaluable piece of chess history. And I'm very happy to have been able to call him a friend, and I will forever regret not reaching out more often in recent times. If Daniel's family ever need anything at all, please feel free to reach out. I would like to help in any way I can. And anyway, I just wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit. That's it. So yeah. I'm making this video with the hope that I am extremely wrong here, and in a few weeks we can all look back and point and laugh at how off I was. Like, I want this video to age horribly. But with my hand on a stack of Bibles, I don't think it will. One Punch Man Season 3 has started. 2 episodes are out, the second one just aired, and you can probably still see my eyes are a bit red from the tears that I shed watching it and rubbing them away. Not because I witnessed peak, but because I witnessed pee. Actual waste. One Punch Man is one of my favorite property. I've watched it weekly since season 1, and it's one of the very few anime that actually got me interested in reading the manga. I've talked about this before, but I typically don't read manga of property that already has an anime adaptation because I'd rather not know what's coming. I'd rather it be a surprise. Even though I typically don't mind if I get spoilers or whatever, because for me it's more about the journey than the destination. But still, I prefer to be surprised when it happens, oohing and awing and kicking my little legs in my chair when there's a big plot twist or something that unfolds. But One Punch Man is just so juicy to me. I love the world. I love its whimsical, wacky characters, and it is so full of spectacle. The fights are extraordinary in a beautiful manga. And I even really like in One's webcomic the way that he portrays things in there. I love everything about One Punch Man. It is a beautiful manga that I can't help but sink my teeth into, even knowing full well it will spoil what comes up in the anime. I can't resist. And like I said, it's very uncharacteristic of me to do that. Typically the manga I read is on things that don't have real anime adaptations, like Berserk. Lord help us, it is so sad. Bit of a tangent. Berserk is an actual masterpiece of a series, which I'm sure all of you have heard before. People gushing grannies over Berserk for a good reason. It is a sin that it doesn't get a true, real anime adaptation past what they already did in the 90s. What happened in 2016, which we don't need to reopen old wounds there, but But I don't want to get too lost in the sauce. Point is, I don't typically read manga for things that have an anime. One Punch Man is the exception because I absolutely love the characters and the world there. Anyway, though, One Punch Man Season 1, I think, is one of the best seasons of anime ever produced. And throughout streams, people will often ask, I've never checked out anime, what should I start with? And like clockwork, I will always recommend One Punch Man Season 1 as an entry point to the medium. I think it is just so well done. From its pacing to its beautiful, breathtaking animation, unbelievable animation, the fights are incredible, but also just the character work is executed so well in Season 1. It is extremely good. It is extraordinary. And Season 2 rolled around, and it was a bit of a wet fart. That one was very disappointing to me, and I know a lot of people don't like my take on it, but I mean, it's how I feel about it. I think it is just such a huge step down, not only in the obvious decline in animation quality, it's a different studio, it's JC staff that took it over, which doesn't typically do something like One Punch Man, and they did not a great job. Season 2 did not have the greatest animation. It was no longer fluid, it had some really wonky CG in there, and it just wasn't as great as Season 1. It still had its moments because the characters are just so well done, like from the source material, it's hard to fuck that up, but man did they try. It was still a fine season, but just such a huge step back. So when it was announced that Season 3 of One Punch Man was once again going to be that same studio, I was immediately sad, but I tried to remain optimistic that maybe this time, given more time to cook, they could deliver something better. And now that we're 2 episodes in, they're delivering something even worse. It is actually even worse. Season 2 got dubbed by the fans One Frame Man because there's so little animation. A lot of the times you're watching still images, basically just manga panels and a PowerPoint. Season 3 is even worse so far. I shit you not, in the latest episode, episode 2, there is 2 separate scenes where it is a still image with the slowest panning camera imaginable. I actually thought my TV froze. And it goes on for like 20 seconds. Like it lingers for 20 seconds on just a still frame and some like narrator dialogue. And it's just inexcusable. How can something as good as the One Punch Man property get this treatment? It's incomprehensible to me. It's just insulting, especially considering some of like the most slop trash manga is getting beautiful anime adaptations. Like these actual nothing burger properties you've never heard of that are just actual garbage, bottom of the barrel slop. Like last winter, the Wizard Lord transmogrified me into a paperclip and whisked me away to Vampireville, where all of these vampire babes shoved me up their ass and tasked me with defeating the Demon Lord. And it's like, who even knows what that is? And then the anime rolls out and it's breathtaking. Like, why does that kind of garbage get that kind of passionate studio treatment, but something like One Punch Man, beloved, gets JC staff spitting in our face? I don't understand it. Now, I want to mention, I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I just don't think this is the kind of studio that can do One Punch Man justice. They already proved they couldn't with Season 2, yet they're hopping back on the saddle again with Season 3 just to prove people even more right that they just can't do it. So why did they even get this work again? It doesn't make sense. These 2 episodes have been abominable. Like, they are not good. Even outside of the obvious lack of animation, if you watch Season 3 of One Punch Man, you've probably noticed that there's pretty much no movement happening in this show. To call it an animation is being really loosey-goosey with the term. You're looking at pictures mainly, with dialogue. You're not really seeing anything move. Now, in the last episode here, at the very end, it's gearing up for a fight. And there is a little bit of movement at the very end there. Which is why I'm making this video now, because I believe that in the next episode it's going to follow the Season 2 formula where that fight is mainly going to be impact frames and camera pan, but not actual action or animation. But I'm really, really praying, fingers crossed, I am wrong with that. In this episode, I shit you not, there is even a scene where Garo, when he's going down a hill to break up these bullies from picking on this kid, they didn't bother to animate anything there. So to have him go down the hill, they took Garo, that still image of Garo, and just moved it down. Literally panned him down with no animation at all. It is so janky. It is so gross looking. Now, I've read a lot of conflicting things about why this is in the state that it is. Apparently, like there was a bunch of back and forth on who was going to get season 3, and it ultimately ended up in the hands of JC staff, but it took like a prolonged period of time, so they didn't have a lot of time to get in the laboratory and work on something of high quality here, so this is what they shat out. I don't really think that's an excuse, to be honest. Like, something needs to change in that case where scheduling is better, or like extend the deadline instead of just like pump out whatever just to, you know, slap it on screen and ship it when it's clearly not in a state for that. This looks so undercooked. It is just half-baked. And to be honest, at this point, I'm not even sure if my anger is misplaced on JC staff or if it really is just like Bandai refusing to invest real money behind this project because maybe they're just so content with mediocrity. They know this IP is so popular, people will watch it no matter what. So what's the point in delivering something special? Like, I think that's equally possible as well. Like, maybe they're more to blame than JC staff. Like, maybe they just weren't given enough time or enough resources to make something good. I'm not really sure, but it is just tragic. And I don't think Season 3 is going to get better. I actually think it's only going to get worse with the fights based on these first 2 episodes. But again, I'm making this video hoping that I'm wrong, and it could be something that we look back on and be like, wow, Charlie's no Baba Vanga here. Look at this prediction being super fucking wrong. Well, in that case, it'd make me exactly like Baba Vanga, to be honest. But point is, I'm hoping that all of this is just water under the bridge over the next few weeks as Season 3 of One Punch Man continues, and maybe it gets incredible and it just goes ballistic. Maybe they just wanted the first 2 episodes to look like shit as part of a, you know, galaxy brain plot to make people think it's going to be a bad season, but really it's going to be the best season. It's hard copium from me here, but whatever. What happened to the show I love, man? To see where One Punch Man Season 1 was to where this is now, a decade later. It's been a decade, by the way, and this is only the 3rd season, and it looks this bad. It's just infuriating. It really is. Anyway, though, can't wait for episode 3 here of One Punch Man Season 3. Maybe that's the one where it's gonna really get it together. That's when it all comes together. Anyway, just wanted to yap about this. That's it. So, yeah. There's a lot I want to talk about here after seeing what happened at Twitchcon last night with Emiru being assaulted by a rogue lunatic fan who just walked completely unimpeded past the line at her meet and greet and unconsensually hugged her and looked like tried to kiss her, which is textbook assault. And it's very scary that it was able to happen so easily here. He was shoved off by a security guard, but then he just walked away.
Whoa. That's crazy. Holy shit, what the fuck was that? What the?
The full clip goes on for about a minute and a half longer, but you've now seen the entire security presence here for the Emiru meet and greet. One person. One security guard. I have seen a stronger security presence at my dilapidated local Winn-Dixie. This is fucking crazy. One guy. And also, worth mentioning, it's not Emiru's preferred bodyguard from what I understand.
I had a security guard 2 years ago where there was a guy following me around TwitchCon, and he like asked him to stop multiple times. My guard asked him and the guy wouldn't stop, so he grabbed the guy, but he didn't like hurt him. He was just holding the guy until like the con security came. And then for some reason they're like, yeah, because your security guard touched him, he's like permabanned from the venue forever. But he didn't even hit him or anything. He just like held him while they waited for like the police to come. And
what the fuck?
And it was like my favorite security guard. I can't have him at TwitchCon anymore.
Now, as I was rendering this video, Emiru posted an update to everything to shed light on everything that happened. And this bodyguard you see push that guy is someone she hired. It's not her first round draft pick or anything. It is not her preferred bodyguard, but it's who she was allowed to bring. And she was surrounded is the word I'm using, very loosey-goosey. There was like a couple of other Twitch-provided Fiverr security drones elsewhere that just didn't react at all. The only one who did something was the one she hired. We're going to be going through her statement quite a bit here, but she's giving an update to let people know that she's okay and thankful for the outpouring of support. The guy had crossed multiple barriers, even in front of other creators, to grab and try and kiss her, which he was unsuccessful at doing, thanks to being pushed off. She then says that she doesn't understand how he was allowed to get that far in the first place, and that the security that does react is her own, confirming that it's not her usual security guard since he was banned. She then says that there were 3 to 4 other TwitchCon security who didn't react and even let him walk away, which, again, is something you can confirm by watching the clip, that he just walks away completely unimpeded. The woman who was walking me away is also her own personal manager. It's not even event staff, which I thought it was event staff. Turns out it's not. The only 2 people who were checking on her and comforting her were her and her friend. Not even Twitch staff was coming to check on her. There's more in her statement we're going to get to in a moment, but I want to go in chunks here. So, I thought it was 1 security guard and then a couple of event staff that you could see in the clip. Turns out it's 1 security guard she brought, and then no event staff. It's just her manager and her friend. So where the fuck is TwitchCon security or staff at all here? They just let this guy walk up to her and did nothing, and even just let him get away after assaulting her too. Again, I still cannot even believe they banned the security guard that she wanted to bring and had brought in the past that did successfully prevent a potential threat from harming her. It's so fucked up, and I truly can't understand the thought process behind their decision to ban him in the first place. He did his job properly. He held the potential threat until authorities arrived. What else are you supposed to do? That's like the number one thing. You're supposed to stop the threat. And that sounds like exactly what he did here. I think maybe Twitch was concerned that he used excessive force or something because he grabbed him. What? Like, what do they think? He put him into a headlock and then hit him with an atomic power bomb into a fucking tombstone pile driver and then a Frankensteiner on the way out? Like, what do they think happened there? Now, I've read mixed things on who's responsible for that bodyguard being banned, whether it was Twitch or the venue TwitchCon is held at. But regardless of who's responsible for the ban, the fact that he is forbidden from being there because of being good at his job is just unacceptable. This guy walks past this entire line, literally just fucking fee-fi-fo-fums through the whole line here at the meet and greet, and assaults Imiru. Nobody stopped him when he was cutting through the line, and it wasn't until he had already assaulted Imiru that he got pushed off. And then he didn't even get stopped or anything by additional security because there was only that one guy that was there as like a bodyguard. Like, I don't know, I would just kind of expect after a fucking assault just unfolded here, there would be a big response from the TwitchCon security personnel. Like coming over here throwing like a spike strip down or like at least throwing a banana peel down so he slips and falls on it so they can apprehend him. But I didn't see any of that happen. Nothing at all, just fucking crickets. Just tumbleweed rolling through here. Like, he just walked away. Apparently he did get ID'd, like, after this happened later, because Twitch made a statement, which we'll go through in a minute, and it sounds like they ID'd the guy and everything. But this is a complete failure on Twitch's shoulders here for their event. They banned her preferred bodyguard, whom has previously demonstrated the ability to stop something like this from happening, and instead supplied non-existent TwitchCon security around her meet and greet, and forced her to hire a different bodyguard, one that wasn't nearly as efficient as the one that she typically uses and wanted to have present here to protect her. And just stew on this for a moment, because when you break it down, TwitchCon security literally did nothing. Not only did they not stop the guy before he assaulted Imiru, again, it could have even been a murder or something if he had like a weapon or something. He was not stopped despite plenty of, ample opportunity for them to intervene. Not only did they not stop him, after it happened, they didn't even pursue him. The only one who acted at all, that one security guard, was not a TwitchCon security guard. It was someone Imiru hired, a bodyguard she hired. That was the only person that acted at all. And the only people that checked on Imiru were her team. No one on the TwitchCon event side of things, apparently, according to Imiru. So that means, at TwitchCon, the security didn't do anything at all, nor did the event staff do anything to even check on her after this happened. Holy shit. That is inexcusable. I've talked about events and stuff in the past. I've never been to TwitchCon. I have no plans of ever going to TwitchCon or anything even remotely similar to it. And I've always expressed, A, I don't think I'd have fun, and B, I'm always worried about events like that, like legitimate safety concerns. Ever since the Christina Grimmie tragedy, where she was murdered at a meet and greet, I just have a huge hesitation with this kind of thing. Because you never really know who's there and what security looks like. I know prior to TwitchCon, apparently there was a big emphasis on Twitch's side of beefing up their security. I'm not seeing that at all. The proof is not in the pudding here from what I'm seeing. It's extremely concerning that this creep was able to just walk up slowly, mind you. It's not like he like charged the stage or something, you know, with a fucking 4-second 40 where they couldn't respond in time. He slowly, calmly walked past everyone. Security, event staff, no one stopped him at all. Like, shit, I got stopped more often trying to go to a lacrosse party in college. Like, they were more vigilant about stopping people from getting into a fucking party, let alone, like, the actual safety of the guests here at this event. It is just crazy to me because this guy could have had a weapon. He absolutely could have had a weapon. Like, it is just dangerous. It is dangerous, and it's a complete failure on Twitch's part here. Now, like I said, they did make a statement about this. The safety and security of all those attending TwitchCon is our highest priority. The behavior displayed by the individual involved in the incident yesterday involving a high-profile streamer was completely unacceptable and deeply upsetting. In line with existing TwitchCon security protocols, law enforcement and event security were on site and responded to the incident. When? In 7 business days? Like, where were they? Because, again, in the longer clip, it's like 2.5 minutes, and he just walks away. Like, you can see him leaving, and I maybe I missed it, but I didn't see anyone stopping him at any point. We immediately blocked this individual from returning to the TwitchCon premises, and they are banned indefinitely from Twitch, both online and in-person events. We're coordinating with the impacted creators team, and per our standard protocols, continue to cooperate with any law enforcement investigations. We've increased security at the meet and greet attendee check-in point, and we'll have additional security personnel surrounding participating streamers. If you've RSVP'd for a meet and greet, please note that we are unable to accommodate +1s for the remainder of the event. Twitch has zero tolerance for harassment or acts that inhibit the safety and security of our community. Like I said, based on their statement here, it sounds as though they ID'd the guy responsible for this assault here, mentioning that he's been banned on Twitch and from the events. It sounds like there's also going to be additional follow-ups, I believe. That's how it read to me. Now, as a result of the assault that Emiru experienced at their event, they are going to be having a stronger security presence at further meet and greets that are scheduled. The question begs to be asked, why wasn't that an emphasis beforehand? You're saying that safety was like your top priority, yet it's very clear, very evident in this clip that there's not a lot of security there. So what are you doing about, like, safety? Like, well, I don't understand. If safety's such a high priority, where's security? Why, I don't know why it's so lackluster then if it's such a high priority. And again, this is like a huge streamer. Emiru is like one of the biggest streamers. What does security look like for streamers that aren't her size? I genuinely have no idea. It's a legitimate question I'm asking because, again, Emiru is like one of the biggest streamers, and TwitchCon didn't have like any adequate security presence at her meet and greet. What does it look like for a smaller streamer doing a meet and greet? Did they provide anything at all to them? And also, what they do provide is basically anyway, nothing. The security didn't act at all here. So now let's go back to Emiru's statement, because she says something very interesting here about Twitch's statement. In Twitch's statement, they said that the guy was immediately caught and detained. Sorry, but that is a blatant lie. He was allowed to walk away from my meet and greet, and I didn't hear he was caught until hours after he attacked me, and it felt like this only happened because of my manager pressing for it, not because TwitchCon staff present thought it was a big deal. She mentions there's more she wants to talk about on it, but I'll save it for stream. She then goes on to thank people for the support and confirms that this will be her last TwitchCon, which I think is completely understandable. I think other creators should seriously consider not attending in the future. I did not feel cared for or protected, even bringing my own security and staff. I can't imagine how creators without those options would feel. So according to Emiru's statement here, she believes that the guy wasn't like immediately caught and ID'd by TwitchCon staff or anything like that. And in fact, it wasn't until her manager pressed them for action that they did anything at all. That's unhinged. They didn't want to, jump into action after a fucking assault just took place. I just don't get it. That's completely unhinged. It almost feels like maybe they're more angry about Emiru's bodyguard there shoving the guy. Like maybe they're thinking about banning him from Twitch events in the future or something. Like it doesn't seem like their priority is safety. If they were going to just let this guy walk away until Emiru's manager had to force their hand to do something, this is just not a safe environment. And this isn't a new criticism of TwitchCon. This has been consistently something that people have spoken out about for years with TwitchCon. Like, I'm sure a lot of you have heard the horror stories that have been reported numerous times in the past at previous TwitchCons about, like, drink spiking or, like, the lack of security present, stuff like that. It has been something that people have mentioned numerous times, and every time Twitch tries to assure the community that, you know, they're really taking security seriously this time around. This time, you know, it's fucking locked down. There's going to be no issues. And like clockwork, there's always seemingly some kind of big security concern or something that arises at TwitchCon. It's just, I don't understand how they're not doing anything to, like, remedy it. Even in this, which is, again, supposed to be, like, their big year of security, like, because they made a huge, you know, stance on how strong they're going to be with security this year and how seriously they're taking it, how seriously they're going to take it, and then day one of TwitchCon, Emiru gets assaulted. And then, in this clip, it really seems like there's not a lot of security there. And if there is, like, off-camera, a bunch of security, they're not very efficacious. They're not very good at stopping a legitimate threat. Like I said, this guy's intentions could have been to murder Emiru here. He could have had a weapon, and he wasn't even stopped. He got all the way to her and assaulted her before he was finally shoved off. Like, there is a real problem. And according to Emiru, it's actually even worse than that on the TwitchCon security side, where they didn't even, like, want to go after the guy until they were forced to by Emiru's team pressing them for it. So not only did the assault happen under their watch, where they had ample chances to stop that guy, but none of the handful of security that was around intervened in any way, and then didn't do anything to pursue the criminal. That's a crime. Like, that's a crime, and they were just going to let him get away with that. It's complete lunacy. Emiru mentions that event staff didn't, like, check on her or anything. What you saw was her team checking on her and, you know, making sure everything's okay. So, what is TwitchCon, like, where are the event staff and security then? So they don't even check on someone who was just assaulted? They don't even go and see, like, what just happened? Like, are you okay? Do you need anything? Nothing at all? Like, that's crazy. It does not feel like safety is a huge priority at TwitchCon. What happened to Emiru is terrible, and it shouldn't have happened at all. It shouldn't happen to her or anybody attending TwitchCon. Another thing I want to briefly mention here. Apparently, Emiru didn't even want to do the meet and greet. She was obligated to in order to keep her show.
So I had to cancel my meet and greet because of the stuff, but in order to, I can't cancel my meet and greet and not cancel her show because of the fact that the reason I cancel my meet and greet is I don't want to be in the same place for 2 hours because of people being weird.
Okay.
And then I'm under contract with them, so I can't cancel one and not cancel the other.
Interesting. Oh.
So I'm sorry,
I kept my
Emmy.
meet and greet because I wanted to keep my show. Surely it'll be fine.
I'm sorry, Emmy.
I'm sure everyone will be nice.
It sounds like it was a contractual obligation that if Emiru wanted to keep that show, she would have to do this meet and greet, which is something it doesn't seem like she wanted to do, but was trying to approach it with optimism about people, you know, being nice and not being weird. Unfortunately, that's just not how things panned out. And it's crazy. She didn't even want to do this meet and greet. It's something that it seems Twitch was requiring her to do in order to keep the other thing that she actually did want, unrelated to the meet and greet. So she decides to oblige and do this meet and greet, and Twitch doesn't even do the bare minimum of giving her adequate security to protect her. Holy shit. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's about it. So yep. There's always been a debate on what is the stupidest crime you could ever commit. But I don't really think it's that much of a debate. I think there is an objectively right answer. Pokemon card-related crimes. And they are so common these days with people ruining their lives because they cannot help but try and steal Pokemon cards to resell them. It's almost dangerous to have Pokemon product on hand because it feels like it's just a matter of time before the greasiest loser you could ever imagine tries to break into your business to get their grubby paws on it. It's like dropping Tilted Towers in Fortnite back during Fortnite's heyday. It's just completely out of control, and it is only getting worse. This is spreading faster than fucking Gangnam Style in 2012. There is literally, like every single day, there is someone breaking into a card shop to steal thousands of dollars worth of Pokemon cards. And I've covered a lot of it, but I haven't in a little while, and it's not because it's started to die down or simmer down or anything. In fact, quite the opposite. I just haven't been covering it as much because it is just fucking pathetic, the state of the hobby right now, and there is so little more to be said about it. It sucks. But today I saw one that made me want to dust off this topic again because I think it is the perfect example to showcase just how extreme it's gotten.
Sad news at RNG Therapy. We experienced a break-in at 5:45 Tuesday morning. Two people, a male and a female, ran into our shop with a U-Haul and took some stuff. It's gut-wrenching. So yeah, just an update. Watch the video, check it out.
This couple rented a U-Haul seemingly with the sole purpose to ram it through the garage door of this card shop so they could steal Pokemon cards and then make a quick getaway. There's so much to unpack with that. They rented a vehicle to commit a crime. I feel like it probably won't be that hard to find who they are, assuming they had to provide some identification and payment information to even get the U-Haul in the first place. God willing, hopefully they don't get away with it. This is a level of insanity that dwarfs even some of the most absurd that I'd seen prior. They rented a U-Haul to crash it through this building to steal Pokemon cards. Holy shit. Also, they're just like manhandling the Pokemon cards. They're doing it au naturel, the way our forefathers used to steal Pokemon cards. They're not even using bags or anything. They're literally just grabbing like two fistfuls and walking it back and forth. Like they didn't even bring like bags or something to do it more efficiently. They are that fucking stupid. You are witnessing actual Neanderthal mode. You are seeing laid bare in front of you the dumbest society can provide you with. Holy shit. And you get a pretty good look at this girl's face, one of the perpetrators here. I'm hoping these two turbo idiots get caught pretty soon. I'm pretty optimistic that they will. It feels like there's a lot of information that you could probably get from the vehicle they rented here for it. Plus, you also have pretty solid surveillance footage of what they look like. Hopefully they will get caught. Now, the reason I wanted to yap about this is because of just how over the top it is. They fucking crash a truck through this card shop to get the Pokemon cards. In almost every other card shop break-in and robbery I've seen, they just bash the glass in. They'll hit it with a brick, a hammer, something. They just walk in and start breaking all the glass in order to steal the cards. But here, there's no glass for them to break through. It's a fucking garage door. It's a huge garage door. You would think that would be more difficult and like a deterrent from people breaking in. But no, these morons still find a way. Like, you are just not safe. If you have Pokemon cards, somehow these vermin will sniff it out, and come hell or high water, they will fucking bust through those walls like the Kool-Aid Man. It is shocking. They crashed a U-Haul through this garage door to get to these Pokemon cards. Next, like, you're gonna have to start putting your Pokemon cards at Fort Knox, but even then, idiots like this will probably still find a way to try and gain access. It'll be like Wile E. Coyote. They'll get the Acme Dynamite out and the plunger and try and like blow it up to get in. It's just so sad, the state of this hobby. And I feel terrible for this business. Like, I would have thought, given the location of this business being, pretty secure behind a garage door and everything, that they were likely going to be safe and be able to provide a nice little hangout card shop spot for their community. But no, still no. They crashed the car through it. Now, I watched some of the updates here from their Instagram page. They have replaced the garage door, which is not cheap, mind you, and they are trying to, keep their heads held high, moving forward into the future here. So they are back open for business, which is great. They were only down for a little while here after this. But it just sucks to see this, man. Like, I just feel so bad. It's not like these card shops are rolling in money. Like, it's not like these businesses are just raking in millions and millions of dollars. And yet they are just getting absolutely pillaged. Like the fucking Vikings are running through here and just dismantling their inventory of Pokemon cards. It's just dangerous. It's sad. It's fucking sad. And like I said, this is very, very, very common now. Like when I was looking for this to try and find it on my own, an unrelated story of 3 separate break-ins all in like a week came up. And like I mentioned, it's the standard song and dance that a lot of these robbers like to do, where they just bust in the glass of these card shops and then just start breaking everything to get to them.
In and out in 30 seconds. That's all it took for this thief to make off with about $6,000 worth of Pokemon cards.
They smashed our showcase, so they knew where they were going.
On top of the...
Like I said, that's typically how it goes. They come in, break the glass. In the rest of this news segment here, they interview a couple of other shops that experienced very similar break-ins, losing thousands of dollars worth of product. And typically, it's just a big old... In one of them, it was just a big old piece of concrete. They broke the glass and then kicked in the rest of it and then just walked in, stole the shit, breaking the shit. It's awful. It's just awful. It is so shameful, and it is showing no signs of slowing down. Like, you're not even safe if you are behind a garage door. A reinforced door is not safe because you never know when the dumbest couple on the planet's gonna rent a goddamn bulldozer and just blast through it. It's just despicable. I am so tired of the degeneracy in the Pokemon card community. Jiminy Christmas. And like I've said from the very beginning, even if you do steal all of these Pokemon products, they're not easy to resell. You're not going to make a huge killing selling the couple of $1,000s worth of Pokemon product that you lifted from these local card shops. Like, it's not going to sell immediately, even if you do mark it down significantly. And a lot of people in the community are always aware of what's been stolen, so many times what's happened in the past is people that have stolen it have been caught when they've tried to resell it because people know, and they don't want to have that hot potato of stolen product. Like, it's just so fucking dumb across the board from these idiots, these absolute losers that are stealing all of these TCG products. It's so fucking dumb. Anyway, though, I just wanted to yap about this again. That's really about it. So, yeah. I just saw Black Phone 2, so I'll give you a review of it, but as you can probably already guess from the title, it's expanding to a bigger topic of unnecessary sequels. This is now the 3rd sequel film I have seen in just the last 4 months that is completely useless. That is just a blatant cash grab off of a successful one-and-done movie. The Triforce of slumber that I'm talking about with these snoozers is Nobody 2, Megan 2, and now Black Phone 2. One thing all 3 of these have in common is they're not horrible. Like, they're not really bad movies, but it is just so clear when you see them that they had to reach deep into their ass and fiddle around with their colon to pull this poop out here to try and find a way to bring it back so that way they could guarantee some ticket sales. Because those movies, Nobody, Megan, Black Phone, were all pretty successful and well-liked. And, you know, if something is liked, it means it can be monetized thoroughly until you fucking hate it. So, Hollywood doesn't like to leave money on the table. They had to try and find ways to milk these properties for all they're worth. Get in there and start fucking tugging on those udders till they fall off. So now Black Phone 2 comes out. Just like Megan 2, it's kind of a completely different movie set in the universe. Megan 2 went from like a thriller to a goddamn like Spy Kids action movie. Black Phone, I actually just watched it again. Well, I don't even remember if I watched it the first time around, to be honest, because I didn't remember anything from it. But I just watched it literally an hour and a half before seeing the second one, so everything was super fresh. I think it's a really good movie. I'm guessing I just didn't watch it when it came out because I probably would have remembered it. I watched it today. I liked it a lot. It is a missing persons thriller. It's not really a horror movie, but it has like some supernatural elements that integrate like a little horror to it. But more so than anything, it is a missing person thriller where a kid is kidnapped by the Grabber, whom they're trying to make a horror icon now, which I think is so fucking cringe, trying very hard to ham-fist him into, like, horror culture. But this kid is kidnapped by the Grabber, as he has kidnapped other kids and killed them, and he is now trying to figure out ways to escape. And he's getting some phone calls on the phone where he's being held captive from the dead kids, his previous victims, that are giving him little breadcrumbs, little pieces of the puzzle on how he could possibly get out. It's a very cool movie. Black Phone 2, however, has nothing interesting like that. It's kind of like Diet Freddy Krueger meets a season of Stranger Things. Again, it's not bad, and there's some cool shots in here. I'm going to get into spoilers. Here's your spoiler warning. That's out of the way. This one is much more of just a generic horror movie. Finn is no longer the main character. It's Gwen, which is fine. And I do appreciate that they don't just have Finn move on, as if nothing happened to him. Like, he just doesn't go, back to normal life lickety-split. He is still struggling with all of the trauma that he experienced from the first film. I think that is a very good extension of his character. It's set 3 years after that. And Gwen is now getting these nightmares, these dreams, which she had in the first film. And these dreams have expanded into something far more sinister, where she's seeing these 3 kids that were brutally murdered at a camp that her mother just happened to work at. And she's also connecting to her mother through these dreams. And that's an interesting expansion of the character from the first Black Phone, the mother, who had the same abilities that Gwen had that apparently drove her mad and caused her to kill herself. And we get a lot more lore about her, which I do think is cool, but that's not the bulk of the film. The bulk of the film is, in order to try and solve the mystery of why she's dreaming of these 3 kids and what the mother's connection is, Finn, Gwen, and Robin's brother, Ernesto, they go to the camp to try and piece it together, and while there, the Grabber starts infiltrating Gwen's dreams, and then it is fully, basically just Freddy Krueger, except a really incompetent version of Freddy Krueger. All of, the fear and the eeriness and anxiety that the Grabber could cause in the first film, all of the tension that would build every time the Grabber was on screen, is just gone in this one. Now he's basically someone cosplaying Freddy Krueger. So every time Gwen sleeps, she's encountering these kids, which happen to be the Grabber's first victims. And I hate this direction that sequels like to go, because again, they have to scrape the bottom of the barrel, because, well, the movies that sometimes they're making a sequel on were movies that were fucking fully closed off and benefited from some mystery, some unanswered questions. This one, of course, does what a lot of them like to do, try and flesh out the evil presence, when a big part of what made that presence so effective was not having those details about them. This movie fleshes him out a little bit. He worked at that camp with their mother, and also another character that is now working at the camp in the current day and age. His name is Mondo. And we learn that the Grabber, he was nicknamed Wild Bill Hickok. So Bill killed 3 kids at the camp, hid their bodies, and now he's escaped hell and wants revenge. So he's going to kill Gwen to get back at Finn. And he also just wants to kill as many people as he can. Spoiler alert, he's very bad at killing people in this movie. He kills nobody at all. Despite having all that power and everything, basically what he does amounts to just picking people up and throwing them a little bit, or choking them poorly. He swings his axe a few times, but he's extremely terrible with his axe, so he doesn't kill anyone. He hurts somebody once, he cuts Gwen's arm with his axe once, and then he just gets fucking blasted with a spirit blast that Gwen is able to use, because she eventually realizes that she's dreaming, which means she can start to influence these dreams. So then she gets a huge force push on him. And this is why I say it gets a lot like Stranger Things, because now she's fighting him like that. It's just so much weaker than the first one, and it's so clear that this is a movie that was made solely because they knew people would go see it off of the goodwill the first one built up. Now, these dream sequences are shot very well. I actually love the style where they make it all grainy and foggy, where it does feel very ethereal, and it's got this really ominous noise going on. I do like the way they distinguish reality from the dream on screen. I think it looks cool. And I know this is directed by the same guy, so it makes sense, but it very much reminded me of those scenes from Sinister where he's looking at the tapes. Like, it was, an eerie feel to what you were seeing. But I think it was just so undercut by having Gwyn be like, you fart-knocking, shit-biscuit, fucking dweeb, loser pussy, as she's, like, battling the grabber in the dreams. I don't know. I don't think it worked very well. Now, I think that's a fine extension of Gwyn's character from the first film, because she said that same kind of shit in the first one, but she wasn't doing, like, psychic battles with a demon in the first movie. Here, it just feels so goofy. Like, almost that the grabber's not even, like, a scary presence to them either. The way that she, and really everyone, is able to just, like, overpower him so easily. And also, there's, like, two other characters in here, Barb, and I already forgot the dude's name, but Barb and this other guy are also working at the camp. And the grabber, while he may appear in Gwyn's dreams, he is just there in reality too. He's invisible. And he's skating around on the ice, and he, like, hits them with an axe and kind of, like, fucks with them a little bit, but he can't even kill them who don't even know where he is or anything. Like, even the people that can't see him are able to just blast him. Like, Finn eventually gets the upper hand on him while completely invisible. Finn cannot see him, and Finn is just bashing his skull into the ice. And everyone's just, like, mocking him and insulting him, like, oh, Bill, yeah, you're going right back to hell. It just makes him feel like almost a joke, Like, he doesn't feel scary or anything. That everything in the first film that was built up for this guy, all of the mystery and how fucked up he was and how unnerving all of it was, when Finn does kill him in that movie, it felt like such a crazy triumph, that all the pieces came together with everything that the kids on the phone were telling him, all of it he had to use to beat this guy. In this movie, all it took was Gwyn realizing that she's in a dream, she can start to control things, so she fucking ragdolls this guy. And then Finn, once he, like, sees where he is on the ice, because he got tripped, Finn just goes over and just absolutely just slaughters him, like, easily. Which, granted, that was, like, a core piece of what they were doing, is trying to free the souls of those 3 children that were the victims of the grabber that their bodies were never found. By freeing them, it would take away some of his power, so it made him more vulnerable. But a couple of things here. One, he was already being overpowered, like in the kitchen where he was going to, like, burn Gwyn to death. 2 people were able to just rip Gwyn away from the grabber, and then he just vanishes after she wakes up. And 2, when she falls asleep and it spawns the grabber, he is present in the physical reality. That is clearly established, especially like at the end of the movie where all the other characters can see where he is skating because it is leaving marks. And then, of course, he, like, hits him with the axe, even drags that guy around with the axe. He is there in the physical world once she falls asleep. Why would he even let them get near that lake? All he would have to do is the second she falls asleep, he would then go and just kill everybody else so they can't even investigate the lake to find the bodies and take away his power. I don't know why he wouldn't just do that. Instead, he would rather, like, monologue to Gwyn and, like, show her the truth about her mother. Instead of... And he did make a point of saying, like, you're trying to take my power, which gives me every right to defend it. Like, he does defend it, but only after they, like, are uncovering a body. Even though he clearly wants to defend it, but has done nothing to do so until it's, like, way too late. I don't really get why he wouldn't just stop them from ever getting to the lake in the first place. Like, it's not like Gwyn kept him at bay or anything. When she would fall asleep, that is when he would spawn in. It summons the grabber. And he is there in the physical reality, just invisible. He could have just killed everybody before they ever even got to the lake while invisible. It just seems to me like he's pretty shitty at what he was trying to do. But I just really feel like everything that made Black Phone 1 good, everything that worked really well for Black Phone 1, is just abandoned in the sequel. But it's not a bad movie. Like, it is still an entertaining film. I think there are going to be a lot of people that go to this and enjoy it. I'm not really one of them. Like, I think it's fine, but after seeing Black Phone 1 literally an hour and a half before this one, it is just night and day in terms of quality of these films. Anyway, though, I really hope this trend of forcing a sequel to movies that don't really have a lot of wiggle room for it, I hope that trend starts to dwindle soon, because I'm pretty tired of it now. This is the third one in only 4 months. Anyway, that's really about it. See ya. Before I had a physical form, when I was just beginning my zygotic journey in my mother's womb, an anomalous mutation occurred, where what was supposed to be a normal human baby was fused with gamer DNA, and the two of us combined in a harmonious fusion dance, and now, just look at me. Take a good hard look at me. This is peak performance. Very clear at even a glance. I was born to be a gamer. And throughout my 31 years on this earth, I have learned many important life lessons. Not every pee-pee time is a poo-poo time, but every poo-poo time is a pee-pee time. I've also learned that it's just not worth it to force myself to play games I have no interest in. So, the new Pokemon game just dropped, Penguinz0. Even before it released, I was skeptical on how good it would be, because everything they showed looked like somehow an even bigger step backwards for the franchise, but I'm always open to being wrong. I don't have a Nintendo Switch 2 and I have no plans on getting one, but Penguinz0 is on the OG Switch as well, so I decided to tune in to some streamers, watch some gameplay, and see what people are saying about it. And Santa Claus rolled around bearing gifts, people were very excited, but to me it looks like a big old lump of coal. This somehow looks worse than Pokemon Scarlet Violet. This shit looks like my wrinkly nutsack. It is crazy to me. Pokemon being the most profitable IP in the history of our species still doesn't do the bare minimum when it comes to its mainline game entries. I really cannot understand it. Now, if you're enjoying Pokemon ZA, don't let me come in here and fart, toot all over your fun, whatever. Enjoy it. I think that's totally fine. But for me, it has become so incredibly stale to the point that it's almost insulting the lack of care Game Freak puts into these games. Like, there is not only so little innovation, I really gave a lot of charity to Arceus, Pokemon Legends Arceus, because it felt like they were going to start trying to push things and do different things. But since then, I just feel like they took their foot off the gas, and everything in Pokemon Legends ZA feels like it's content to just be the same shit, different toilet. So, it's not for me, but if you're having fun with it, I think that's great. I'm happy that you're enjoying it and didn't, waste money on something that you ultimately don't like. I'm just giving you my perspective on it. It's a game that I'm very confident I would not enjoy, because it looks like the same fucking game I've now played 1,000,000 times from Pokemon. It does not look like a game I would enjoy, thus I will be sitting it out. Something that I've been doing recently is abstaining from forcing myself to play a game just for the sake of playing the new game. And this, I can already tell I'm not going to enjoy, especially after playing Digimon Storytime Stranger. I'm going to directly compare these two things like it's the fucking late 90s again here. Digimon Storytime Stranger is the newest Digimon game that came out. And I played it on a whim, not really expecting much. I hadn't been, in the Digimon sphere for well over a decade. I loved Digimon growing up, but I was more of a Pokemon guy. Digimon, I always thought had better writing and definitely was darker than Pokemon, but I had always, gravitated more towards the Pokemon IP. But I always appreciated it. And then as I got older, I just stopped paying attention to Digimon. Digimon Storytime Stranger dropped and it was getting a lot of glaze. People were really hyping it up, so I decided to give it a whirl. And the game is actually amazing. This shit turbo slaps. I'm about 5 hours into the game, and I am still learning new mechanics. There is an unbelievable amount of depth min-maxing to this game with so much meat on its bones. And it is everything the Pokemon formula and franchise wishes it could be. And, well, really, what it should be, honestly. The game has voice acting, by the way, which is something Pokemon games still haven't quite cracked the code on all these years later. The writing is, strangely compelling. It is actually pretty well written with a story that I find myself invested in. The cutscenes go fucking insano style. Within the first hour and a half, a hole tears in the space-time continuum, shattering the fabric of reality as a giant fucking Digimon fist comes through like the hand of God and punches a giant mecha machine, which blows us 8 years into the past. It is actually so hype. And there is, like I said, so much depth here. I think there's like 450, 460 Digimon there. But even outside of just the number of Digimon that you catch, you convert in this game, you have so many build options for them with mix and matching your equipment, your attachment skills, even changing their personality around to match builds from your agent skills. Like, there is so much to do in this game. Like, the side missions are actually fun. I've only done one so far with the mystery of the missing shirts, but even that was fun. Everything in Digimon Storytime Stranger is what I wish Pokemon would at least attempt to do. It actually feels like an innovation on the formula. It is so refreshing. It also serves to showcase the potential of the genre, something that Pokemon refuses to even attempt to capture. Like, it fails to even try to reach like the actual potential that this genre offers. I have been really enjoying Digimon Storytime Stranger, but even if I hadn't played Storytime Stranger, I still wouldn't be playing Penguinz0. I just don't have interest in playing what appears to me to be another half-baked Pokemon game where like its big selling points that are supposed to make people pump their fist are the simplest shit ever, like being able to move during a fight. Like, if that's really how low the bar is, it's sad. Like, everything I have seen that people are praising for it are the simplest, smallest alterations on the same stale path that it has walked for over a decade now. And I just have no interest in forcing myself to play it and being miserable grinding through the 10, 20, 30-ish hours that I would put into it. I don't want this video to all just be me, bah humbugging Penguinz0, because there is another game that I have a very similar feeling of. Another culprit. Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I think that game looks like the same shit again. And I am so tired of the Call of Duty cycle where I buy the new Call of Duty, I maybe find a few things to like about it for a little bit, and then I'm done after like 6 hours because it's just boring. It's just doing the same thing as I've done for fucking like 15 years now in these Call of Duty games. So, I am also sitting out Call of Duty Black Ops 7, which is the first Call of Duty game I haven't bought since Ghosts. And I am very excited to not have to force myself into a Call of Duty game just for the sake of trying it out to see if there's finally something new there. I have too many times now fallen for their hypnotism where they convince you, fucking mind control you into thinking that there's something new and different about it. They did the same thing for the last Black Ops game with the Omni movement, where I really thought we were about to get like Max Payne level movement freedom expression, when really it doesn't matter at all. It is so trivial of a difference you don't even notice it. And I already know I'm going to feel the same way about Black Ops 7 based on all of the gameplay and everything I've seen from it, so I'm not going to be forcing myself to play that game either. I'll just be sitting that out too. Again though, I'm not the fun police here, so if you're someone excited for Black Ops 7, you enjoyed the betas and whatever, can't wait, all power to you. It's just not for me anymore. I'll wait for a Call of Duty that actually looks new and different in my eyes, where I'll give it another fair shake. But the whole point of me even yapping on this topic in this video is because I basically play like every game ever, and like for my gaming channel, and I've always said like I'll definitely at least try things just to see if I'm wrong about it. Like Assassin's Creed Shadows. Assassin's Creed is my actual least favorite franchise in gaming. I have not liked an Assassin's Creed game in so many years. And the last one that I enjoyed to any degree was Black Flag, and I didn't even like that as much as everyone else seemed to. I really cannot stand the Assassin's Creed franchise, but I still pumped like 5 or 6 hours into Shadows and was miserable. And it was exactly what I expected it to be. So what was the point in me doing that, wasting the money, and spending that time playing that game, knowing full well the whole time that I already probably wasn't going to like it because it is just, again, the same thing. It just doesn't make sense. I'd much rather spend that time playing games that I think I'll probably like, or games that are fun shitty that might be entertainingly bad, which I also really like. So I think just from now on, if a game looks like something I'm going to fucking hate, I probably won't bother playing it. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's it. So yeah. First things first, before I cannonball into the spaghetti and meatballs of today's topic, I'd like to let you all know I've been actively working on my Mickey Mouse impression, so please let me know your thoughts. Pluto! So with that out of the way, I'm going to show you all of my analytics from my lifetime of being on YouTube and almost a decade of being on Twitch. Now, the reason for this is, a week ago I made a video called I'm Turning It Off, and in that video I'm explaining why I'm disabling any and all means of people having the ability to donate money to me. No more super chats, no more YouTube memberships, for all intents and purposes, no more bits on Twitch. I say all intents and purposes because you can't actually fully disable that on Twitch. Once you start streaming on there, you're fucking shackled to the bits ecosystem. It cannot be turned off. So I made the minimum so high that no one can pay it, hopefully, and actively discouraging people from subbing on Twitch as well. Any and all avenues where people could just give me clams, I am just putting the kibosh on. I should have done this a long time ago, but better late than never. Might as well get the farty sharded now. The reason is super simple. I would much rather you keep your money. Use it for yourself or use it for things you deem important, whether it's charitable causes or what have you. But just stop forking it over to me. Now, since posting that video, there's been a lot of questions and even somewhat of a pushback from other streamers about how, like, this sets a bad precedent where it, like, starts to shame other streamers if they don't follow my footsteps here. Let me be clear. I'm not trying to make a rallying cry here. I'm not your dad. You do what you want with your own streams. Keep donations and subs on out the wazoo forever. I don't care. That's your prerogative. This was just my own personal decision. Obviously, that wasn't like the most prevalent take or anything, but it is a conversation I saw stirring about after I posted that video, because there are some streamers that believe that normal people having the ability to give them money helps them feel included in the community, part of the crew, part of the ship, and it's like integral to the streaming experience to be able to like sub and donate and things like that. I've never really shared that perspective. I've always viewed streaming as content that you are providing to viewers for free, and if someone's nice enough to toss you a doubloon, you tip your fedora saying, "Holly jolly, thanks for the Reddit gold, kind stranger," and move on. But it's not an obligation, and no one should feel like they need to be able to give you money to be included in the community. That feels very parasocial to me, but that's just my own view on it. But what I will tell you, breaking the magician's code here, there is no top streamer that needs your financial support to put food on the table or continue providing those streams for you. Also, the bulk of a streamer's income comes from ads in the first place. Anyway, though, I think this stems from people just not really knowing how much money a top streamer can make on Twitch, for example. So let me show you my analytics from my lifetime on Twitch. Now, Twitch analytics are a little wonky here on the back end, so I wasn't able to just set the date range from 2017 to 2025 because it would just freeze. It would just have a conniption. I bet the Twitch HQ, a server, just fucking caught flame with me trying to do that, so I had to break it up into chunks. So in 2017 is when I really started like actually streaming on Twitch. I had dabbled in 2016, but it wasn't until 2017 where I got like partnered and everything. So from 2017 to 2019, I made $55,500 for those 2 years. And I wasn't full-time streaming at this point or anything. It was just a bit of goofing around, having some fun, and it brought in $55,500. From 2019 to 2021 is when I took it a lot more seriously, as you can see. My time streamed went from 600 hours on the 2 years to 3,600 hours, and I made $1.2 million for those 2 years. And this was before my Twitch contract, so the only ads that were running on my stream were like the pre-roll ads, the ones that Twitch would insert themselves. So this was still without ads, by the way. $1.2 million, almost 1.3. Then I got a Twitch contract which necessitated a certain amount of ads, 3 minutes of ad time per hour. And from 2021 to basically 2025, I made $4.1 million. And to those astute observers amongst you with those keen peepers, you might notice that my subscriptions are less than half of what they were for the previous 2-year period. So even though I have 180,000 less subs across these 3 years than I did for the previous 2, I still made significantly more, and that is because of ads. Ads are the breadbasket to streamers. That is the jelly to the peanut butter sandwich that is streaming. And keep in mind, these numbers here, the 4.1, the 1.2, those don't even include brand deals or sponsorships, and I didn't have any like ancillary donations, but a lot of streamers do through like Streamlabs for like text-to-speech, stuff like that. So that doesn't include any of those other means of making money through the medium. This is solely through just Twitch itself. And I think something important to mention, contrary to popular belief, I am not a top streamer. I am also not even a full-time streamer, and I haven't been for over a year and a half. So my 2025 earnings, I didn't really put them here. It's about 100K. So another thing to add to the total here. But I'm not even a full-time streamer anymore, and I haven't been a top 20 streamer probably since the fucking Among Us boom. You know, back in the prehistoric internet age now. Like, the Among Us era is the only time where I broached, like, the top 20. I've not been in that ball game for a while, and yet this is still a crazy amount of money, where there is no reason I should be taking money from just normal people working normal, everyday jobs. It just doesn't feel right to me. Streaming is the easiest job there is. Hot take, I know, sorry, that was a blistering, scalding magma that I just spewed out there, but it is just the truth. I sit in swamp ass for a few hours every day, well, at least I used to when I was a full-time streamer, playing games, or just yapping. Now compare that Weenie Hut Jr. routine to a normal person who is actually working their ass off every single day in a 9-to-5 environment, grinding in the hopes of chasing the American dream. And then they'll come home, maybe turn on my stream and donate a couple of dollars to me. And it just doesn't sit right with me taking that kind of money, given what I've made from all of this. And I really should have just stopped this a long time ago, especially considering this is just the Twitch side of things. I told you, I'm going to show you my YouTube earnings. So be ready, because here it is! Huge fucking number, an unfathomable amount of money. From starting this channel in 2007 all the way until today, I have made $35.8 million. I never even imagined that amount of money was possible to earn without just being born rich. I have said from day one, I got incredibly lucky. I will never be able to put into words just how lucky I got with all of this shit here. I'm not special. I got lucky. I have always said that, and I still believe that to this day. Now, something I saw a lot of people asking after the video I made about turning off all the donation stuff is how much money I'm leaving on the table. And while it's kind of hard to show it on Twitch considering both subs and bits are technically still on, even though I discourage both and have bits at a point where I don't think it's even possible to use them, I still can't get like a hard number on what's like gone now or anything like that. But on YouTube, I can show you directly. So with memberships and supers/gifts, I made over $1 million. Keep in mind, I've only had those things enabled for about a year. So it was $1 million in a year from just normal people donating it to me. Again, that just doesn't fucking sit right with me. Now I know there are plenty of streamers and YouTubers that have significantly more money than me and have subs and donations on and whatever. I don't care. Like I said, this is not me trying to lead some kind of revolution here where all of them turn it off. It's their choice to make. I wanted to explain fully why I don't want normal people just giving me their money anymore at all. Also, to be honest, I think just full goatseeing, showing how much streaming/YouTubing can make, just showing you the full, unedited, raw numbers is probably helpful for normal people so they can see how much money is in this space, because I think there's often so many question marks from people wondering how much does a streamer or YouTuber make? They'll either say like they're making billions of dollars or they're making nothing. There's never like an in-between because there's never any like really hard numbers to look at. So I think something like this can be helpful for that, especially because over the years I've noticed there's been a multitude of creators that have come out and tried to like underplay how well off they are financially because they believe it could be somewhat of a brand risk where if they are perceived as being someone that's very rich, well, maybe their audience wouldn't like them as much because they're no longer relatable. It's just something I've seen here and there over the years from a bunch of different creators, and I just find it a bit disingenuous. So hopefully something like this can help show that if someone is in like the top sphere of YouTube or Twitch, they are very, very well off financially. Anyway though, if you add both of these numbers up, I've made a total of $41.3 million. But that's not to say that's what I have. Now, I do live in Florida, which means there is no individual income tax. Big time Florida W right there. And I know, I'm big time gushing grannies, Florida glazer. I've lived here my whole life. And that is something very nice about it. But it's not to say that the tax man comes in gentle with the lube. He still goes whole hog raw. It is still brutal when the tax man comes a-knockin'. He'll blow up your guts. And that's just the way that the cookie crumbles. Obviously, a good chunk instantly goes to taxes. There's also like salaries for the people that I pay on my team, other expenses, and also for the first 4 to 5 years of me earning money through my YouTube channel, I donated every single dollar to charity. So while I may have earned $41 million over the course of my time online, I don't have nearly that much. But I still have more money than I will ever know what to fully do with. And I actually thought it would be kind of fun to go through like a deep dive on what it looks like. You know, taxes, expenses, all that kind of thing to see how it all breaks down. But maybe that's a topic best left for a different video. So for now, I'll probably just conclude it here. Hopefully this was insightful. Anyway, that's really about it. So yeah. Almost 3 years ago now, I made a couple videos talking about a YouTuber whose house had been firebombed. The YouTuber's name is Friendly Jordies, and he was very outspoken about corruption, calling out bad actors in the local government, and for all of this, his house was targeted in a firebombing. And actually, the fucking stooge that was in charge of this, the mysterious boogeyman, actually went for the double scoop on the firebombing, so they started by firebombing Friendly Jordies' neighbor, thinking that it was his house. Then when they realized they got the wrong house, he came back to firebomb Friendly Jordies' house. And luckily, no one died in this, but the intention was pretty clear, either to scare or kill Friendly Jordies. And now, almost 3 years later, there is someone who has been arrested for this.
Some not so breaking news. One of the guys that firebombed my house back in 2022 has been sentenced to 5 years in prison. Now, I'm grateful to the judge, the arson squad, and the financial crimes unit for all their hard work in securing this little bit of justice. That was a Herculean slog for the investigators to get it to that point at all, but this is hardly a definite end to this saga, and there are a few things that really need to be said in wake of this conviction.
The man who was arrested and now facing 5 years in the slammer is an associate of a well-known crime family in the area. His name is Tuffy, or Toofy, Goofy, whatever the fuck it is, however you say his name. He's 39 years old, and they're describing it as a professional attack on a journalist. But don't worry, he's not a monster. He has a lot of remorse here. He feels really bad about it. He even made an apology video for it. So he is clearly feeling a lot of sorrow for his misdeeds, no doubt. In a video he sent from prison, he said, "I would just like to apologize from the bottom of my heart." Aww. Alright. Not guilty. Free this man. He clearly feels bad about firebombing 2 people's homes. He's no longer a threat. He's seen the error of his ways. That is a touching sentiment. He went on to say that he believed in God and said he was over his life of crime after spending so much of his 20s and 30s behind bars. Quote, "I'd rather die than return back to jail," he said. He's turning a new leaf. You can clearly see it here. I mean, it's just an honest mistake. Who hasn't accidentally firebombed 2 people's homes after being paid to throw those firebombs in the first place? It could happen to anybody. And this is a guy who clearly recognizes that these evil deeds are best left in the past. And it's crazy that he's only getting 5 years, by the way. He is a career criminal, and he's still getting 5 years after firebombing 2 people's homes, which is literally like attempted murder. At least it should be. That was the whole goal. At least one of the goals, either to have Friendly Jordies fear for his life or take his life here in the firebombing attack. It's just crazy that he's only getting 5 years. Maybe that apology really did weigh heavy on the heart of the judge.
The person convicted of the firebombing is a man by the name of Tufi Jr. Tuisi Alua. I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly, and frankly, I don't care. I've never met Tufi Jr. I've never mentioned him in videos before. In fact, before he was charged, I'd never even heard of his name, nor do I hope to hear it ever again. It does, however, open a big question, a question which was not satisfactorily answered in court, and perhaps even more shamefully, not examined by most of the media. Why would a man with no connection to me whatsoever go to the effort of stealing a Mercedes, cloning number plates, surveilling my house, and then setting that house on fire?
As Friendly Jordies points out here, it's very interesting that the judge recognizes this as a professional attack, a coordinated attack here on Friendly Jordies. They even call him the muscle. That's what he was hired to do. Yet, At no point do they try and inquire as to who hired him and why. What were his motives? Why would someone whom Jordy has never heard of, never mentioned at all, go through so much effort to firebomb his fucking house? That's awfully strange, right? Isn't that a little weird? They fully recognize that this was a paid, planned attack on friendly Jordies, yet don't bother to try and uncover who planned and paid for this attack. It wasn't just some random act of violence where this guy just had 2 firebombs sitting on his passenger seat from, last Halloween where he won his, the pyro from TF2 or something, and he decided, all right, I'll just throw these 2 firebombs over here. This was clearly a planned attack, and they recognize that, yet don't even give the slightest smidgen of effort to try and figure out who's behind it. That definitely smells a bit fishy.
I think I know the answer. I'd wager some prominent defamation lawyers, property developers, and politicians also know the answer. There were some unsurprisingly cowardly and oblique hints of an answer in the ABC article about the conviction, an article which refers to me as an internet personality. Mr. Shanks, who uses the moniker Friendly Jordies online, had mentioned the Alameddine crime network in a video 2 months before his home was set alight. Just mention the Alameddines. A lot of people mention the Alameddines, Anton. The Alameddine crime network might be one of the most prolific gangs in this nation's history. They're nightly news. Some people bank their entire journalistic careers on talking about the Alameddines. They don't get their houses burnt down. How characteristically low from the ABC, especially when even the judge labelled the firebombing as, quote, a professional attack on a journalist. Anton here acts as if it was a coincidence after reading out a BuzzFeed article on a stream.
I found this fascinating. What Jordies is mentioning here is that some journalists, like the one he's pointing out, are making the insinuation that because Jordies has mentioned the Alameddine crime family before, prior to his house being set ablaze, that maybe it's not a coinky-dink. Maybe the two are related. But Jordies hits him with the counterpoint here. He gets him with the Uno reverse with some very basic logic that the Alameddine crime family is one of the most infamous in the area, talked about daily as a piece of nightly news, where tons of journalists make their whole career solely around reporting on the Alameddine crime family, and yet none of them seem to be getting fucking napalm striked here like Jordies was. So it's a pretty weak insinuation to make that doesn't pass the smell test, especially because it's not like that's all Friendly Jordies talks about is the Alameddine crime family or anything like that.
This is not at all to excuse Toofy Jr. He tried to kill someone. He burnt down a house with no regard for not only the other potential occupants, but neighbours, which were the elderly, and for all he knew, could have been children. Even worse, because his motives are murky and seemingly transactional, he seems to have just been waved away with he was just the hired muscle. He tried to kill people. He burnt down a house. Things are a little bit scary in New South Wales if you ask me. At this point, you can order a firebombing, not only not get caught, but the muscle who does get caught gets about the same time as it takes to do a bachelor's degree.
The guy responsible for double-fisting firebombs that could have killed multiple people is getting an extremely light, soft sentence of just 5 years, which is basically just the amount of time between Stranger Things seasons. And not only is he getting a light sentence, but the people that hired him, that they openly are saying that he was the muscle. So they recognize he was the muscle for someone, but the people that he is the muscle for, they're not even bothering to try and investigate and find out the identity of. They're just like, oh yeah, he was the muscle, and that's it. We know that's as far as we're gonna go. It's just so blatant. It's so obvious. It's so fucked.
Pretty good risk to reward ratio, if you ask me. Over the past few years, I've faced multiple different criminal investigations and charges over what apparently in New South Wales is a far more serious crime, making YouTube videos. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that there were far more investigative and legal resources thrown at botched attempts to punish me than there were at punishing the firebombers.
If you followed Friendly Jordies at all for any length of time, you are probably familiar with the fucking ringer they have put this man through over the years. The justice system over there is trying so hard to bend them over their knee and spank his cheeks red every chance they get for even the slightest things. They will go to extremes for him, all because he posts videos online talking about corruption. Meanwhile, a firebomber who firebombed 2 houses, a career criminal as well, by the way, so he has a history too, gets significantly less resources put into that investigation. It's fucking crazy.
How can a man be charged and sentenced to 5 years in prison for a firebombing and the courts get to know nothing about his motives?
No, they know everything that needs to be known about his motive. He was hired to do it. He was the muscle. Hired by who? Cares. Who cares? They don't give a fuck. Just gonna send him to jail for just a little brief period of time here and just let this whole thing quietly die down so that way people don't ask too many questions about this whole firebombing, hoopla, that kind of thing. Because there's no need to dig any deeper on who might have paid for this kind of thing to happen. You know, it's just, it was the muscle. It was the muscle. Ah, come on, let's move on.
Why certain politicians like Rose Jackson, who originally condemned the firebombing, albeit in the most performative Twitter-approved template, that not only was mostly about her and how awesome she thinks she is, she also just had to add, right after I was nearly killed, that I'm, quote, way off and gross. I'll tell you what I think is way off, Rose. Hanging out with and propping up a development company which, again, shares the name of the video I was forced to remove due to death threats, and doing so knowingly. You know. That's what I think is gross, you self-aggrandizing transactional party machine cog.
Yeah, over there, Jordy's has got a lot of very powerful enemies. I've made a couple videos talking about Jordy's and everything that has gone on recently. It is not an overstatement to say that he literally does put his life on the line for the journalism that he does. And it's not just him, he does have a team as well that takes the same risk. They have some very powerful enemies over there. And it is very clear that they are willing to go to extreme lengths to silence Jordy's and his team. Keep in mind, the firebombing attack, they didn't know Jordy's wasn't home. They had no idea. They also didn't know about the neighbors' whereabouts if they were home. That very well could have ended with bodies, just corpses, charred corpses from this hired muscle coming out and firebombing these two houses, all to silence Jordy's and his team for their reporting on the blatant corruption over there.
Why do the Alameddines, an organised crime gang, give so much access to certain ABC journalists? Why is the ABC so ardent in defending these certain journalists? And why isn't anyone able to get enough evidence to bring whoever ordered the firebombing into a courtroom? I'll tell you, there's some very strange things happening in New South Wales.
Very strange things indeed going on over there. I'm happy to at least see that someone was arrested in connection to the firebombing. That's good. 5 years is kind of laughable considering the crime. But I mean, I guess at least there was some semblance of, like, you know, catching the bad guys here to a certain extent. But there is a lot of work to be done. I feel like there was definitely a lot more that should have come from this. And hopefully it will. Hopefully there will be more that comes from this, God willing. Because holy shit, it is unhinged. Anyways, wishing the best for Friendly Jordy's here. Hopefully he and his team can stay safe. And just wanted to give you the update. That's about it. So, yep. It's crazy to me that there's people out there that think that I'm not familiar with 3i Atlas. You think there's an alien spaceship heading to Earth that I wouldn't know about that would somehow fly under my radar? Come on, be real. Those aliens probably had to contact my dad just to ask his permission to visit us. Of course I'm familiar with the theory that 3i Atlas is an alien spaceship. If you don't know what I'm talking about, 3i Atlas is a comet that is passing by Mars very soon that doesn't really display the typical things you see in a comet. And a scientist, actually a couple different scientists from what I saw, speculated that because it is so anomalous, we have to be open to the possibility that this could be alien tech, and in the event that it is extraterrestrial, we are not prepared. Now, personally, I feel like he should speak only for himself. He's not prepared. Don't rope me in there with you, dork. I've got all kinds of plans and strategies out the wazoo, in case they're three-titted goth alien babes, or in case they're aggressive, hostile species. I've got all kinds of tactics. For example, one's called pants down, ass up, just in case, letting them know I fully submit. Because if these are actually fucking aliens, there is nothing we on this planet can do besides just beg for mercy. Their technology would be so far above our comprehension, we stand no chance. But don't panic. I'm here to tell you, it's just a bunch of hooey. This is such fucking horseradish, man. It's not an alien spaceship. And a lot of other scientists are debunking that narrative because, of course, media is running wild with that about how this is potentially aliens and we have nothing to do, we're vulnerable, we've got to do something, that kind of thing. So it's got people starting to actually believe that it could be. It's not. It's just not. Sorry for blasting you with the cold water of the truth here with the naysaying, farting on all your fun, but it's the truth. There's not a single shred of evidence to suggest this could be an alien spaceship. That whole theory is based off of a single thing. Comet's weird. So we got goofball comet coming by, and they're like, well, I guess it could be alien tech. It is definitely peculiar. This thing is quirky. Maybe it's alien tech. That's it. And this has become so rampant now that this idea that it could be alien spaceships, that you got the crazies latching onto it here. So they have fully fucking attached to this butthole like a hemorrhoid. And now I'm seeing a ton of shit about like remote viewers who are talking about how this is 100% confirmed alien occupants on 3i Atlas.
CERN, they've used their collider to open up a portal to communicate with extraterrestrial beings.
Whoa.
And one of them are the occupants from 3i Atlas.
To be clear, CERN already has a room and a technology to open a portal to talk to extraterrestrials.
Yes.
But recently, they also used it to communicate with the beings on 3i Atlas.
That's correct.
Okay, go on.
Well, I'm convinced it used every buzzword you could find. Throw CERN in there and immediately got people hooked. Now it's legitimate. So, remote viewing, for those that don't know, it's ESP, basically. Or if you're familiar with MKUltra, it's something they tried with MKUltra. In a nutshell, you basically have people claim that they have these powers, so they'll close their eyes and imagine things and then say it to you and you go, whoa. With the MKUltra project in particular, they tried to make it a little more scientific, spruce it up a bit, but not by much. That's also where you're seeing like the declassified CIA shit about how they had these, you know, mutants go in there and remote view to Mars, and they found giants building doohickeys and doodads on Mars, and then one of them tapped our remote viewer on the shoulder and blasted him to the Shadow Realm back to Earth 5,000 years in the past or some shit. It's all just bogus. It is the silliest shit that people actually put real stock into. Remote viewing is not a real thing. There is never, in anything I've ever researched on it, a single piece that even makes me even loosely convinced that there could be something to it. It's just fanfic.
So those beings introduce themselves as such, like so we are the occupants of this object, and they did not show up physically. They show up as holograms. Now, they apparently showed up as holograms. They looked tall, that's what she said, and they communicated telepathically with every single scientist in the room.
Yeah, but why? When you start asking the why question, this whole fucking narrative falls apart. Why would these aliens even bother responding to a bunch of goobers here astral projecting themselves onto their spacecraft? Why? And how would you even be able to get information from them? They don't speak English unless they're out there with fucking Duolingo studying up on their trip over. Like, they're not going to speak any of our languages here on Earth. So even if it's not English, they're not going to know any of the languages here on Earth and be able to communicate it back to you. And I've seen a little bit of cope about how they, like, transmit feelings. Okay, how, though? You don't know their feelings. They wouldn't know our feelings. There's no way you'd be able to somehow make a bridge and figure out what feelings are being transmitted. It's just so fucking stupid, man. But so many people believe this. Like, I've seen this video kind of popping off right now. And it's just some guy saying, like, yeah, so all of us, we were remote viewing, you know, CERN, of course, with their portals that they're able to open. We were talking to the occupants of 3i Atlas, and they introduced themselves as the occupants of 3i Atlas, by the way. They call themselves Atlassians, naturally, no doubt. And, well, we had such an insightful conversation. We even played a game of chess. One of them even gave me an OTPHJ, and I really appreciated the work that he did on my wiener.
Wow.
And they all got the same message, which is that they are coming in peace, and they're just trying to come over here to gather all the star seeds of this planet.
So when you remote view, did you pick up on that intention as well?
Yes and no. I believe that the direct reptilians, will be coming to Earth, but as to know what the exact intent, that I couldn't really say.
They're coming to sap the juice out of our 5G towers. We're flying too close to the sun, so now... he calls them the Draco Reptilians. Now they're coming to take all of our G's. No! But apparently other remote viewers were saying that they're coming in peace to take all the star seeds. If you're on TikTok, you're familiar with that nomenclature. Starseeds are people that believe that they are aliens inhabiting a human vessel at the moment. There's a little more nuance to it than that, of course. There's different degrees of starseeds. There's even like, you know, a totem pole, like an upper echelon of starseeds that inhabit this planet and the bodies on it. It's a whole lot. That's a big old can of worms. Anyway, though, this sounds a lot like Rapture for the starseeds. So we've got... you know, the galactic hall monitors or whatever coming in here saying, we're just here for your starseeds and then we'll leave. So they're going to rapture starseeds and skedaddle? But why, though? Why even bother making the whole trip out here?
Well, this is an extraordinary development.
It is.
You remote viewed 3i Atlas. Did you do that on your own, or were you tasked with this assignment?
I was tasked by the same intelligence people I'm working with to look at the object, because those had concerns. But what I saw as a remote viewer was a mothership with occupants on board, and they were mostly Draco reptilian occupants.
Okay.
We pulled the mask off the Scooby-Doo villain. These aliens are actually Draco reptilians. I've been saying it all along. I knew from the get-go, you cannot trust the Draco reptilians. They're always up to something fishy. They're always scheming, those Draco reptilians. I also love how the guy he's talking to just takes all of it at face value. He's like, wow, this is an incredible development. I knew it. This is incredible stuff. Wow, Draco reptilians, that's amazing. Extraordinary. So you saw them? Wow. Yeah, no, I'll just take you at your word. I believe you. It's just so crazy, man. He's just spouting gobbledygook, and people just accept it. For some reason, there are people that actually put stock into this whole remote viewing nonsense.
That's what, you know, I saw as a remote viewer.
And that was corroborated by other remote viewers seeing the same thing.
That's correct. Yes.
The ship and Draco.
That's correct. One of them is John Vivanco, who is also a known remote viewer, and he announced it publicly as well. And other people from the Stargate program as well. So they basically all came up with the same idea.
Well, can't argue with that. That's pretty irrefutable. Other remote viewers confirming what the others are saying. We now have a group of people all saying the same thing. They closed their eyes and saw Draco reptilians. We need to take this more seriously. I think I've been clowning on it a bit too much, but that right there at the end, that sealed the deal. It's Draco reptilians and 3i Atlas heading our way, and we've got to get ready. Now, I'm not overly familiar with Draco reptilians, but I'm gonna go take a nap and remote view, see if I can learn anything in my dreams about them. If I find any of their weaknesses, I'll be sure to share it with all of you, but just start preparing the best you can for the arrival of the Draco reptilians. The remote viewers are trying to warn us. They've already touched base with them on 3i Atlas all the way out there in the cosmos. So, yeah, anyway. Pretty cool shit. That's about it. So, yeah. Ian Watkins. If you're familiar with that name, you probably just puked in your mouth a little bit, even just hearing it. But maybe you don't know that name. Maybe you're familiar with the band that he was the lead singer of, Lost Prophets. They were a huge band back in the early 2000s. In fact, when I was a kid, they were one of my favorite bands. I even had a website I made in 4th grade called coldflames.pixo. I tell you, it could have been the next Facebook. I was ahead of my time. And all over that website, I had Lost Prophets music blasting because I really loved their work. And then in 2012, it was revealed to the world that Ian Watkins, for years, had gotten away with unimaginable evil and is one of the most infamous pedophiles in music industry history. He's like the Diddy of rock music, I suppose. It is unfathomable, the shit that he did. I made a whole video on his history 3 years ago. It is a lengthy and disgusting history here of unfathomable evil with Ian Watkins. He attempted to rape babies, like actual babies. It is beyond anything you're probably imagining. Like the worst things you can think of, he did. And he wasn't exactly, like, quiet about it either. He was very proud of all of it. The password to his laptop was even a reference to how he fucks kids. And then in a recorded phone call to a fan while he was in prison, he said that this whole thing was megalols. His sick, deranged fans would actually present their children for him. And he would talk to them in prison as well. Like, it's actually unhinged. The depths of depravity with Ian Watkins are something that you can't even picture as a sane person. And he got away with this for years. Again, this wasn't like the biggest secret in the world, like the fucking KFC 11 herbs and spices or anything. This was something he had been reported to the police for multiple times, but they didn't take it seriously. And in fact, the only reason he ever even got apprehended in the first place was on unrelated drug charges. Like, it's actually fucking infuriating, really. But he did finally get arrested. All of this information came to light, and he was serving a 29-year sentence, which, by the way, is crazy that it wasn't like multiple life sentences for all of this shit. I cannot believe it was only 29 years. I understand the laws are a little different over there when it comes to maximum sentences, but even still, the fact that he was going to be released in the next 16, 17 years means he would have been a free man again in his 60s. And for a fucking monster like this, I have no doubt he would have gone right back to raping children, babies, all of that evil he would have been engaging in immediately upon being released, no doubt. Now I say was, because that's in the past now, he's dead. 2 fellow inmates stabbed Ian to death yesterday with a knife. It was first thing in the morning too, so this was like the number one thing on their to-do list for the day. They must have just got up, stretched, got the sleepies out of their eyes and said, alright, let's go kill that guy. So they did. Now, of course, I have no idea who these 2 guys are or what they're in for, but I do believe that the death of Ian Watkins here just saved a bunch of children in the future, because he was going to be released. He was going to be back out into society breathing the same air the rest of us do. And he point blank says that he found it to be mega lols and showed no remorse or any kind of like change or anything. So there's no doubt in my mind that when he would have been released, he would have went right back to doing this same shit, preying on children. So I do think now that he's dead in the dirt, going straight to hell, that children are safer for it, because he will not be released now out into the population to once again start preying on kids again. Also, this isn't the first time he was stabbed in prison, by the way. In 2023, he was involved in a hostage situation where he ended up getting stabbed, but he survived that one, and then they came back around and got his ass this time. I remember talking about this in 2023 when he first got stabbed. What an interesting hostage to take, because I don't think anyone's going to be fighting that hard to get him back. I can already just, imagine all of the, officers or whatever on the scene oh no! Don't do that! No, please, don't stab him! No, oh no, the madness! No, stop it! Let him go! This is crazy, don't stab him! And then when they do stab him, and he pulls through, I bet the officers are like, fuck! Kicking sand. What do you mean he made it? What do you mean he pulled through? Shit! This time, though, was clearly a bit different. They didn't use him as a hostage, they used him as a pincushion. So they stabbed and killed him, and you're not going to believe me when I say this, but it's true. He actually has people mourning his death. All the way up until his death, he had fans that were supporting him, saying he did nothing wrong, and counting down the days until he was freed. It's as fucked up as it sounds. From the handful of these lunatics I've seen, they're not even trying to proclaim that Ian Watkins is innocent, he's been framed or anything. They are actually just saying out loud that they don't care that he did all of those things. That it doesn't matter to them. They still can't wait for him to be freed. Terrifying shit, really. Anyway, though, I just wanted to share the good news with you about Ian Watkins being dead, and that's really about it. So yeah. I remember growing up thinking that brainwashing and mind control was just something you see in comic books and cartoons, but now I know it's a very real thing that you can see happening daily in this country. Now, the big thing I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about a lot here. There's going to be a bunch of blabbering here and drool coming out of my mouth as I'm spitting, because I'm about to be getting pretty passionate. The big focus is on the huge crypto collapse from yesterday. And the very suspicious, very lucky trader who was able to cash out $190 million off of it because they were shorting Bitcoin and Ethereum a day before and all the way up until a minute before Trump's Truth Social post announcing the massive tariffs on China, which crashed the entire market. And then 30 minutes later, they cash out $190 million. It seems like they might have known something, but that can't be, right? That would be corruption. And this administration doesn't engage in that kind of nefarious activity. except for all the previous times that this exact same thing has happened with Trump announcing things on Truth Social that people close to him that suckle his fucking teats must have had insider knowledge on because they're able to cash out millions upon millions of dollars because of his rinse and repeat cycle of threatening tariffs, backing off tariffs, postponing tariffs, just fluctuating the market up and down. Yet people in his inner circle must be privy to this knowledge because they are making absolute bullseye trades based on that before it becomes public. So this isn't really anything new, it's just the most egregious instance because you can literally see it. This account opens and starts shorting Bitcoin and Ethereum a day before this announcement and then a minute before the Truth Social post goes live. Like, it's unbelievable. And if you're a MAGA cultist, it actually is unbelievable. They refuse to believe it. They refuse to accept the very real reality that they are getting fucking hosed. Trump and Trump's family's net worth has exploded since becoming president. How do you defend that? Well, I'll tell you how. Because they say Trump is such a benevolent saint, he actually doesn't even keep his salary from being president. Wow, that's how much he cares about the American people. You fucking delusional homunculus. The presidential salary is actual peanuts. It's literal fucking used condoms in the grand scheme of how much money him and his family are making throughout his presidency. When he was being fucking sworn in, he was still launching up to 168 new products. And that doesn't even include things like his cologne that he launched, you know, the fucking Trump Gooch galore smell, the Trump watches, the Trump phone and shit like that. So that has only increased the amount of things that he is hawking to the American people to buy solely to enrich himself and his family, his fucking meme coin and all of that. His family is going ballistic in terms of how much money they are making off of his presidency. They're not even hiding it. They are just constantly making money off of you. As you suffer and get less and less money, they get more and more. They are taking the pizza and not even leaving you bits and pieces, morsels of the crust. It's sad, and yet people love it. They will accept it with a fucking smile on their face and say, please, give me some more. I've got more holes for you to fill. Please, come in here. I'm waiting. It's just absurd. They don't even stick to a single belief anymore. Like the Epstein files, I know I have made a lot of content on in the past, so I'm not going to regurgitate that. But the Epstein files are a really good example of how they really cared about the Epstein files and they were really upset at the failure of Joe Biden to release them in that administration. So they were hyping up Trump about all of his promises to release those Epstein files, which he has still not done and still actively just like discounts, and the entire administration denying the existence of now. And this same group of people that was so excited for Trump to follow through on that promise is now like, oh, he didn't break any promises. In fact, it's just not even important. That's why he's not doing it. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, who cares about the Epstein files? We have so many bigger things to worry about. Like what the next product we're going to have to buy from Trump is. Like, they're just now saying, it doesn't matter. We don't care. We actually don't want this information. Actually, I believe everything they're saying now. Yeah, it definitely doesn't exist. Yeah, actually, Maxwell's probably innocent too. But again, I've already talked about that a lot. Let's talk about some other stuff. The COVID vaccine. Trump just got a COVID booster. Not a conspiracy. Just out in the open, signed, documented, stamped. It is legitimate. Trump just got a COVID booster. And this administration has constantly played into the MAGA fear of the jab. That was one of the big things with MAGA, is like how this is, you know, contaminating us, poisoning us. They're trying to kill us with the jab. And now Trump just got the vaccine booster, and those same people like Gunther Dickelman are now applauding him for it, sucking a fucking fart out of his butt for it, giving him a full rim job like, yes, the president's healthy, this is great news. Meanwhile, only a few months ago, a big talking point from him and so many others is the COVID vaccine and the evil of it. But now that Trump got the vaccine booster, well, now they love it. Well, now it's great. Actually, Trump probably got the vaccine booster because he's going to immediately give all of us herd immunity. He is using himself as a selfless sacrifice with the jab, so that way his aura of being immune to COVID will help infiltrate all of us via osmosis. So now we're all immune to COVID thanks to Trump getting the COVID vaccine booster. Or some crazy shit maybe. That one I'm just spitballing, but I'm trying to find ways they'll mental gymnastics around it. But the sad reality is they're not even going to bother trying. They're just going to be like Gunther here and just be like the good little NPC drone that's like, anything Trump does is great. Can't wait to swallow more Trump meat. Even though it goes completely against all of the things he was talking about. Like, so many people that were talking about the jab and how evil it is and all of that are now celebrating that Trump got it. It's just so obvious. It's so blatant. Like fucking Cat Turd. I don't think I've seen anything from him on Trump getting the jab here. Just radio silence, just crickets. It's just Ignore things that make you have to think. That is the cult mentality of MAGA. Anything Trump does is perfect. Anything that makes me think that maybe there's something else there, I shut out. I plug my ears to. It is fucking horrifying. Trump is now building a Qatari Air Force base in Idaho. Trump has accepted a huge $400 million Wumbo Turbo Superstar jet from Qatar. It's a crazy gift. That's one hell of a donation there. I don't want to toss the B word around too lightly here, the bribe nomenclature, but I mean, definitely smells a little fishy over here with that, especially in regards to what came soon after. He then signed a $5.5 billion deal with Qatar for a Trump golf course. Yippee, that's great for the American people. More Trump wealth that he accumulates here through this deal. And now he is putting a Qatar Air Force base on our homeland soil. America first, right? Yeah, it's really America first thinking right there. Yeah, and then I've already seen the cope about how actually no, this is a joint training procedure. This is something that we do all the time, actually. And I saw JD, My Chemical Romance Vance, talking today about like how it's actually just all fake news and stuff. Even though they have literally verbatim point blank said exactly what this deal is, and he is just denying that. So not even the administration is in agreement on their talking points right now. It's a fucking mess. And still, people are so brainwashed and mind controlled that they'll just accept it and be like, this is great. This is America first, actually, to put this Qatar Air Force base in Idaho. That's actually exactly what I wanted. And then Trump always finds a way to surprise me with some crazy schizo posting late at night. So his most recent one is the Biden FBI placed 274 agents into the crowd on January 6th. If this is so, which it is, a lot of very good people will be owed big apologies. What a scam! Do something! President DJT. There is so much wrong with that. I think he forgot to take his suppositories because holy shit, Trump was president on January 6th. Biden did not control the FBI. But you know what? Let's play ball here and dive into a fucking fever dream, a fantasy. Let's say Joseph Biden set down his ice cream, cracked his knuckles, and assumed direct control of the FBI on January 6th and placed all of these agents in here just as Trump says. Well, why don't you do something about it? You are the president. Who are you asking to do something? God? Batman? Like, who are you trying to call? Who are you trying to summon to do something? You are the president. So if this is real, why aren't you doing anything? This is a classic President DJT maneuver here, the entire administration really, where they're like, all of these crimes from the Democrats, all of these absolutely abhorrent, vile crimes that the Democrats have done. No more playing nice, no more Mr. Nice Guy. We're showing our teeth, we're baring our fangs, and we're gonna get something done about it. And then nothing. It's all just posturing. It's all performative. It is a game, and they are playing you. They are preying upon your gullibility and your inclination to be afraid, to constantly keep you in fear, because when you are afraid and when you are convinced that the other side is doing all of these things to get you, you are so fucking easy to control. You're so malleable. That's why they're playing that shit in the airports now about how like the Democrats are Satan and all of that. If you have all of this overwhelming evidence that you claim to have about all of these crimes and all of this shit that the Democrats have done, why have you done nothing? You would be just as guilty in that case. What is the quote? The only thing it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing? Well, if you know that all of this evil is happening from the Democrats and you're doing nothing, you're just as guilty. Like, this is so clearly obvious to anyone that's thinking for more than 5 fucking seconds. And you don't even need to be thinking for 5 seconds to see this new Truth Social stinker here that he squeaked out as anything other than just a sham. Like, this should just be alarming into the mental decline of Trump. He was president on January 6th. He controlled the FBI. Not Biden. Biden was probably out riding his bike to a fucking twisty treat. I don't think he was down there as the puppet master pulling the strings, putting FBI agents in January 6th. It is so crazy, and yet people will just swallow it. They will swallow any shit that Trump feeds them happily, even when they know it's something bad. Like Ted Cruz saying that he got into Congress 13 years ago solely to represent the interests of Israel. He is an American politician who openly states that he is here for Israel. That, again, like I said, feels treasonous to me. And I imagine most people in a different time period would feel the same, but because of how tribalistic politics has become, if you're a big MAGA enthusiast, Trump supporter, you have to somehow just hand wave that and support it because that's what you're told you need to do. Even though anyone should be able to hear that and be concerned. Why does Israel have such a huge stranglehold on the American political landscape and such a massive say-so in how American companies do their business? And why do they even have like the ability to start making demands about what needs to be censored in regards to their atrocities on American platforms? It would be alarming to everyone if the political sphere wasn't just, I have to support everything from this side no matter what. It is fucking scary. Now, I do want to make a mention of something. It's not all horrible, awful news. There's actually a ceasefire going on right now. And I can only pray that it sticks. With Netanyahu, you never really fucking know. But I can only keep my fingers crossed and pray for the absolute best for the Palestinians and hope that going forward, the people of Gaza will no longer need to fear being massacred by Netanyahu's IDF. Now, I know I said at the beginning of the video, the focus of this was going to be on the crypto collapse and the super lucky guy that happened to make $190 million going against all rational thinking and against all the odds. Truly a miracle. But I couldn't help myself. This is just so preposterous. But now, let's finally dive into the crypto collapse. CoffeeZilla made a video going over this. It's extremely well put together, so I'm going to be showing you some clips of that as we talk about it.
I don't even know what this is. I think this is all legal, kind of. I don't think it should be, as you'll see.
Thing is, even if it wasn't legal, it wouldn't matter. There will be no justice pursued regardless, because I think it's pretty clear that whoever this is, they are part of Trump's inner circle of cronies, and they had this knowledge beforehand, what was coming. And it doesn't take a genius to recognize that imposing these huge tariffs on China was going to have a huge effect on the market. So it was a pretty easy opportunity for them to short with that knowledge in mind and make an unbelievable amount of money. Again, if it is legal, it shouldn't be, like CoffeeZilla says, but even if it isn't legal, it won't matter, because they're not going to do anything about it.
But the question is, what did this guy know? Okay, how did somebody make $190 million while everyone else was losing their shirts yesterday? If you don't know, there was one of the biggest crashes we've ever seen in crypto. And someone came in 24 hours before and started placing shorts against the market. Short is just when you bet that the underlying asset is going to go down in price and you will make money on that. Now, this all started October 9th. At 16:39 GMT time, they start accumulating this Bitcoin short.
So T-minus 24 hours until the rest of the world knows this information about the impending tariffs. They come in with $80 million that they start shorting Bitcoin with. That is not like a gamble or anything. That feels like they knew for sure something was going to happen. That is a crazy amount to come out of nowhere with to short Bitcoin.
Now, the amount is unusual, but that itself is not the unusual part. Then we have Ethereum starts to get shorted at 3:49 GMT. Interesting. $30 million gets deposited into this account. Immediately start placing major bets that the market is going to go down. Why is this significant? Well, because at 14:57, this is only a few hours later, like 12 hours later, Trump posts on Truth Social that they are calculating a massive increase on Chinese tariffs.
Zoinks. That's really lucky. This account comes out of nowhere, swinging huge numbers, slinging big time fucking doubloons here on these shorts. And then shortly after, well, it looks like something might be happening to the market here with these potential tariffs that they're calculating.
Where I think this goes from suspicious to downright diabolical is the fact that at this point, the market dips a little bit because you have these threats of tariffs. But the person does not start closing out their shorts yet.
No, that's not weird. This trader's just got diamond hands. What? He's not going to close out his position based off of just that one tweet there. No, that wouldn't make any sense. He's just got strong paws to really grip onto his positions here.
Which I think is very interesting. If you place this huge short bet, and then the president tweets something like this, you would think you would close out your order. But not only do they not do that, not only do they not close out their short, they continue to place short bets against Bitcoin. In fact, this person continues to short Bitcoin all the way up till 2049-23 GMT. Why is that significant, ladies and gentlemen? It's because 2049 is the last short he places, okay? 2050 GMT. A minute later, 1 minute later, Trump announces they're considering an 100% tariff on China, which of course tanks the market. And this person makes literally $190 billion in 24 hours.
Then over the course of the next half hour, they close out all of their shorts and they cash out big time. Jackpot. Wow, did they get lucky or what, huh? Man, I cannot believe the coinky-dink there. Shorting all the way up until 1 minute before Trump's tweet. Geez, some guys have all the luck. You would actually need to be the biggest fucking stupidest troglodyte on the planet to think that this was just like a lucky, miracle trade here from this individual. This is clearly someone that had information about what was coming. The speculation is that it's Barron Trump. There's a lot of people that are providing their loose evidence that it's Barron. Nothing's confirmed on who this is, and I don't think there will ever be confirmation on who this was. But it doesn't take a galaxy brain 5-digit IQ genius to see this and recognize that the only way that something like this happens is if that person had prior knowledge of what was coming. There is no other explanation for it. So while everyone else lost tons of money, some people lost everything. This crash was so colossal that some people took their own lives because of it. The only way that someone went totally against the grain all the way up until 1 minute before the fucking, bomb dropped from Trump here is if they knew it was coming. Like, it's just, I think it is so clear. And the only way you could possibly think anything else is if you're already brainwashed and mind-controlled and stuck in a cult mentality. I really don't know what it will take to snap people out of this. The people that are just so far gone and willing to deny all the evidence of their eyes and ears, that they're constantly being told that they need to. Following these orders of just deny everything that you see and hear from this administration and everything going on. I don't know how you bring them back into being able to think. Actually be able to think. It's fucking terrifying. It's actually extremely scary. So yeah, I wanted to yap about this morning. That's really about it. See ya.